Currently, I'm writing the last chapter of my book on global marketing, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. You could follow the exact template through the whole book, chapter 1 through the last one, implementing all your global marketing. Yet, if you don't think about diversity, equity, and inclusion and the culture of your company, your global marketing can't be successful.
Rotary International, professional translation and interpretation services.
Some of the biggest cultural issues that I see are expecting that if you continue to do business only in English, because English is the global language, and you're going to teach non-English speakers in your company to speak English, you've lost communicating across languages and cultures, and that's going to push away your target audience. Another mistake that I see is that people are expecting everybody in the company to adapt to the norms of the white American culture, rather than being open to accepting and appreciating and really enjoying and learning from other cultures. Another way is having one style of communications. Here in the United States, we like to get directly to the point. We don't want to beat around the bush. We don't take the time to develop the relationship. In the United States, we're very individualistic. We like to celebrate the individual. We like to give rewards to the individual. We celebrate individual accomplishments. In other parts of the world, there's more of a collective society. So, there's a saying in Japan that says, the nailhead that sticks up gets beat down. It's group consensus. So things take longer, but the group has had their input into it. Hierarchies are also seen differently in different parts of the world. In some places, you would never question your boss. What your boss says, you do. So be careful of this when you have your culture. If you're working with somebody that comes from there and they don't agree with what you have suggested or what you say, and you might be open to hearing pushback or improving upon the suggestion, they may take you as, you're the boss, I'm going to do what you say, and you can really run into some problems there. Another issue that's a common one is asking people as they're a representative of their culture. So, hey, you speak Spanish, or hey, you're black, what does your culture think about this? That's just like if you're white and somebody says, hey, what do white people think about this? Treat people as individuals and special and having their own viewpoint. They can't speak for their race. And another issue that I see is that there are no managers and no mentors that match differences in the world. If you've got a BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous, people of color community, and different people are getting promoted into management, there's a culture of acceptance and communication to see that there is paths for people to be successful and not stepped over all the time. So these are some common issues that I hope you watch out for. Okay, some other suggestions to remember. If I go to your website and I see all white women up there, as a guy, am I going to want to apply to that? And vice versa. If it's all one flavor, it's not very welcoming. So make sure you're promoting different people in. And it's not just for show. It's also because you get a difference of opinion and you're pulling in other people. Think about your hiring practices. There was one company that really was trying to hire a diverse population, and they decided they were going to come up with a technology quiz or an assignment that they were going to give to applicants. And they allowed them to take it home and do it. And what they found out is that the men could find a quiet time to do it, but the women were going home and trying to run the house and have the children, and they didn't have a quiet space to do this. So when they found that out, they gave the opportunity to people to do it either at home or at the office, and that leveled the playing field. Another company decided to do interviews behind the screen, so you couldn't see who was there, and the voices were changed so they could just get the words and get the information rather than having any unconscious bias affect them. Another thing to think about is the retention policies. So are you offering people who celebrate holidays different than the standard US ones the opportunity to have the days off and celebrate their holidays? Are you rewarding people for things that they're doing? Are you having a very objective way to promote and give raises? So you want to think about this, that it's not just on a gut feel. Are you developing friendships that can go across different communities? Are you having company parties that celebrate different cultures and bring that in? So how are you celebrating the different people? If you do, watch out for the danger points and you keep in mind all the different things that you can do, you reap huge benefits. There's a couple of companies that I know that really have made diversity a focus. They have more applicants for jobs than they can even handle. They get the cream of the crop of everybody. They're an employer of choice, and the word is out on the street. And not only that, their performance, both by and all their metrics, the revenue and the bottom line, are way above what their competitors are. And this is because they get to choose who they want to work for them. You also have better problem solving. You know, I remember hearing about Pepperidge Farm, who said, hey, how come Latinos never buy our cookies? And they said, well, you don't have our favorite flavor. We love strawberry. So they made a cookie with strawberry in the middle, and guess what? Sold off the shelves, particularly in the Latin areas. Plus, another benefit is that you access new markets. Now, companies that are open to hiring LGBTQ, they actually do much better in those communities and those groups. They have higher revenues from that. So the benefits, they've measured them and they've found them. So really think about it. Let's talk about a couple of examples that I really like. The first is Rotary International. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Rotary International, but they're amazing. Let me read you their mission. It's to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and alleviation of poverty. I mean, their mission is amazing, and they value service above self. So all these people that go out and do all these wonderful things through Rotary, they don't promote themselves, they don't talk about it. So Rotary realized that they had this huge image problem because nobody knew who they were. So when they looked at it, they realized that each of the countries in the different locations were communicating in their own special way. So as a global organization, they decided to come together and figure out how to talk about these things. Now, they've done a really good job of getting their corporate communications group to work tightly with their localization globalization group. So when they're translating, it's not coming in as an afterthought, but they're really involved in the creation and the bringing in the messages from the different marketplaces and making sure that when people have to sit in a certain order in different countries, or there's positioning, or there's things that could subtly influence how somebody looks at the picture, they really pay attention to that. So that's brought in up at the strategy point, not at the final implementation or an afterthought. Another good example is a manufacturing company called Boston Centerless, which is located just north of Boston. They manufacture specialty rods, and they're very precise. And a few years back, the management team was realizing that they didn't have enough employees and they were having trouble hiring good people. So they went out to their employees that were bilingual and working for them, and they said, hey, pull in your people. So they've done a really good job of being inclusive. They hang a flag of every country that's represented, and if an employee leaves and the country's no longer represented, they take the flag down. But it's a source of pride for people to look around the organization. They have a whiteboard with training up there, so when people get trained, it's marked up there. You know what area of the floor they can work on, and they're promoted and they're given raises according to what training and experience they have. They have 2 parties a year. One is their Christmas potluck, which everybody brings something from their community, their cultural dishes, and they share that and they love it, and it becomes a lot of talk building up to it and afterwards. And in the summer, they have a family barbecue where it's traditional American and families are invited. They have wonderful recruiting because people know their friends and family can come in even if they don't speak English, whatever language they speak. They've got a community of people that they like working with, and managers have been promoted when they are able to be bilingual and communicate with English-speaking staff and with non-English speakers. They've offered English classes as a benefit, not as an expectation you're going to learn to speak English. So once again, they've had a really easy time hiring, and it's worked extremely well for them because they've built this within their culture. So last chapter of the book is, if you're doing global marketing, certainly step back, take a look at yourself, make sure that you are hiring for diversity and you're making equitable and inclusive so people want to work there. It'll only benefit you.
If you found this video helpful, please share it, leave a comment, and subscribe. If you like hearing fun language and culture facts and goofs, use the link below to subscribe to our bi-monthly Tidbit newsletter, and of course, visit our website for more information or to schedule a free translation assessment.